Hello, fellow actors, and greetings from the Mediterranean. I'm over here filming another sniper movie for Sony Pictures, and I thought, well, shoot, I've done this enough. Maybe it's time to share my top 10 tips for actors who are planning on going overseas internationally to do a film or television shoot. So, top 10 tips coming at you. Congratulations. You've booked a project overseas. Well done, actor. I think traveling for my acting career has been one of the greatest gifts and blessings that I've been able to enjoy. I never did much traveling when I was younger before I started acting. But since then, I've had the opportunity to go to Bulgaria 5 times, Greece, Turkey, Bogota, Colombia, the Caribbean, UK, Canada, South Africa as well. So it's really, I think, an incredible opportunity for someone to be able to travel and take in the world on someone else's dime. So, like traveling in the States, traveling abroad, you're taking all that planning and prep you got to do, and you have to multiply it by 3 to 5. So, here are my top 10 tips for traveling abroad for actors going overseas for work. Number 1, passport. This is pretty obvious, I know. You're going overseas, you gotta have a passport. Here's the thing, passports expire. I don't expire, I think, every 10 years, but a lot of people forget. Personally, I put my passport expiration date in my calendar, and then I back that up 6 months to remind me when that thing is going to expire, because there's literally nothing worse than maybe booking a job, an incredible opportunity, booking this travel and getting excited about an international trip, whether for film or otherwise, and then discovering that your passport's gonna expire. The other tricky thing about working in film or some other project as an actor is that usually the hosting country has to get work permits. So you have to have not only a current valid passport, but that thing can expire for 6 to 12 months sometimes to qualify for your work permit to work in that country. So, word of the wise, get way out ahead of it. I'll share a story that I went through. Luckily, I didn't suffer this fate, but I remember early on in my TV days, and this was a shoot in Los Angeles, the show CSI Miami. I was up for a big guest lead role. It was me and another guy. The guy was up in Canada, and they were deciding on if it was going to be me or him. And they really liked him, and they really thought he fit the part, and I was definitely in the loop. But he didn't have his passport stuff together. I think that he had an expired passport or something else. So by default, the role went to me. Sometimes that happens. That's certainly happened the other way around for me as well. So keep your passports in order. It's very important. You never know, as you know, in TV and film, projects come up like that. You got to be ready to rock. Unplug stuff out of the wall, pack a suitcase, get your IDs, and hit the road. So passports, can't say it enough. It's why it's our number 1. Make sure your passport is all up to speed, or else you ain't going nowhere. Tip number 2 when you're traveling abroad as an actor for a project is all about the money. So we're talking banks, we're talking credit cards. There's a lot of stuff you have to be concerned with. We'll get to currency conversion and stuff like that later, but I always rock a credit card for everything I do overseas. I have a business credit card I use for my acting career. You're going to want to call your bank, and sometimes certain banks will require to have a travel alert. There's nothing worse than going overseas and having the credit card company or the bank text you, email you, basically shut down a card because you're like, why is this person trying to buy soda in Mongolia? And then you have to call the credit card company overseas, deal with that whole thing to get it unlocked. So get out ahead of it. Log into your bank account. I use Bank of America. They make it pretty simple. In fact, they don't even require travel alerts anymore. I just think security measures have improved that much. The other thing about the credit card is see if you can get a credit card in advance that does not charge you international fees. This is something I learned the hard way over many, many years and many, many miles traveled overseas working on projects. Some good credit cards will not charge you international fees, a very small percentage or just a one-time little debit fee for every transaction you make over there, some cards will get you. They'll get you. It's not fun. It's not going to kill you. It's like an ATM fee, but it's annoying. Why rack up 25 to 50, 75 extra dollars on international fees when you could just go with a credit card that is not going to do something like that to you? Also, don't use your credit card. Well, use your credit card overseas. Don't use your debit card overseas. That's your money. That's your bank. I think that's a good policy just in general. Something happens to your actual liquid funds while you're overseas, that's a nightmare. Sometimes you're 3 hours ahead, 6 hours ahead, 9 hours ahead, getting a hold of people. I mean, that's a pain in the butt when you're on local time zones. So you don't want to have to be dealing with that sort of stuff, any kind of fraud. Credit cards have tons of built-in fraud protections, sometimes travel protections, a lot of stuff that your credit card offers that could apply to you and benefit you internationally that a lot of people don't know about. So read a lot of the perks of your card. See what's going on. Set up the alerts if you have to, either through your credit card companies, your banks. Let them know you're going out of town overseas so they don't freeze your cards, freeze your accounts, thinking that someone jacked it and took off and started trotting on your dime here. So, that's my greatest advice for traveling abroad is stick it on the credit card. Make sure there's no international fees. Don't rack those things up unnecessarily. And, protect yourself with all the perks and features that they offer. Number 3 tip for actors traveling internationally for a project is get an international phone plan. Well, that just makes sense, doesn't it? There's nothing worse than having roaming charges and being gouged for data while you're overseas and not being aware. Trust me, those rates are not kind. They're not friendly. I've racked up as much as $500 to $750 in fees, not knowing about this sort of stuff, learning the hard ways, especially, 10 years ago when cell phones became a lot more prevalent and you just didn't understand how this stuff worked way back in the day. So it's gotten a lot better over the years. However, I still call AT&T every single time I leave the country. I let them know the dates that I'll be going out of the country. They're always incredibly helpful. And they have something called the International Day Pass. It's $10 a day, unlimited data, talk, text, all that sort of stuff. They make it real easy now, and they don't charge you for more than 10 days in a row. So if you go 30 days abroad, you're paying $10 a day for the first 10 days. That's $100, and then they let you ride that for the rest of the month. It'll kick on again if you stay longer than 30 days, but for peace of mind, compared to the thousands you'd spend in fees and charges if you weren't aware of roaming and didn't have that kind of protection, it's worth it. Even if you're going to be in a place with Wi-Fi, get the backup. Let the cell phone company know that you're going to be traveling abroad. See what options they have. It's usually not very much, but I'm telling you, save yourself a misunderstanding down the road and being absolutely wrecked for a good chunk of your paycheck for fees and roaming and stuff like this. So I use AT&T. They're fantastic. They've even been really cool about when I have screwed this up royally to be able to reverse some of the fees and whatever. They're not going to reverse all the fees, but they'll be a bit understanding. I like AT&T. I've been with them since I got my cell phone 89 years ago. Those that don't know, on the SAG, if you're a SAG-AFTRA member, they do a union discount for AT&T of like 10-15% that I've been riding for years. So anyway, AT&T is a great one. I can't speak to any other carrier. I'm always happy with them, but they have a really great option with the International Day Pass for their users. So check them out, look them up. Get that in place. It's worth the investment up front and the peace of mind that comes with it, so you're not absolutely crippled and devastated by charges if you misunderstand something in the international data and calling arena. Number 4 is along the same lines as number 3. Use WhatsApp. WhatsApp. A lot of you probably already use WhatsApp. WhatsApp is a talk and a text and a video chat application, free to download. Everything's encrypted. It syncs pretty easily with all of your contacts in your phone. and you can use it Wi-Fi to make calls, text, this, that, whatever. It doesn't go through your standard text message things. If you listen to my advice on number 3, you've already got a backup plan, and a lot of them are generous nowadays, whereas they weren't a year, 2, 5 years ago. So data and stuff shouldn't be a problem. Wi-Fi where you are, as long as you're kind of in a city and not in a rural area or in the Himalayas, that shouldn't be a problem either. WhatsApp is pretty cool. I just say I prefer WhatsApp just because so many people internationally, no matter where you shoot in whatever country, most people are familiar with WhatsApp. They have WhatsApp. It's just a really easy, great way to communicate. You know, I'm over here in the Mediterranean. I'm on WhatsApp all day long, chatting with producers, crew, everybody else over here, other local actors, stuff like that. That's just a preferred means to communicate once you get overseas here. But, you know, to video chat my parents back home, stuff like this is really simple. It's very easy. It just works as a messenger, and, you know, like if anybody has an iPhone, it's like FaceTime, everything else. So do that. It's encrypted. It works off Wi-Fi. Enable Wi-Fi calling on your settings. I wish I could walk you through that, but I pretty much just trial and error wing that whenever I want to adjust this stuff. But I'm sure y'all savvy kids can figure that out on your own. But WhatsApp is kind of an international standard. Download that, and happy chat 5 for when you're traveling internationally as an actor. Get some digital copies of your personal and financial info. Obviously, you want to be pretty careful with this stuff, but take a picture of your passport. You know, maybe keep that on your phone, keep it on a flash drive. Same applies for if you're incorporated, your articles of incorporation, your FEIN numbers and stuff like that, any pre-filled out W-9s, W-2s, stuff like that. Have this stuff on you. Social security card, driver's license, your SAG card, any medical insurance information, that sort of stuff. It's great to have a digital copy. I mean, you know, the cards, passport, obviously you got to bring this stuff with you, but you know, you don't want to bring all this other stuff, especially if it has to do with you know, your corporation, whatever. You don't want to bring original documents like that. So most of the times, especially like a social security card, whatever else, a digital copy, a picture will suffice, because just like acting on set in the States, you know, once you start work, you know, there's start work forms. So whether you're paid as a W-2 employee, 1099, W-9 if you're incorporated, there's all these forms you have to fill out to prove that it's you, to get payroll going for you so those checks aren't delayed, whether they're hard checks or direct deposit to you. You know, obviously direct deposit is a thing to consider now. So routing numbers, checking account numbers, stuff like this. Being able to access this stuff, be able to show copies even digitally to the production, that's a really great idea. And it's good advice, I think, for actors to have in general. I always have this stuff. I use a software called Evernote where you can upload documents like this. Obviously, on any of the other upload sites, WeTransfer, Dropbox, iCloud, OneNote for Microsoft, this sort of stuff. You know, find something safe, find something encrypted. I think it's a great idea to have this sort of stuff as a backup when you're filling out your paperwork, your contracts, this, that, whatever else. You're not going to want to have to email and call back and forth and have someone hunt this stuff down for you at home, you know, annoy your reps. They should have that stuff on file. You know, it's just so great to have it yourself to keep things streamlined so you can give final approval on addresses and this, that, whatever else. So, you know, rock a USB drive, whatever you got to do, but it's a great idea to have your personal and financial information with you without having to bring the actual hard copies, just to keep things smooth. Tip number 6 for traveling abroad as an actor, it's all about them miles. Frequent flyer accounts, hotel, loyalty point accounts. Chances are, if you're going overseas, you're at some point probably going to be on an airline either you've never heard of or never flown before. I've flown on Air Canada, Turkish Air, British Air, Virgin. You know, there's Lufthansa, really, really fancy named airlines. So, you know, it's worth it. You know, the thing is if you're traveling abroad, you're going to be flying a lot of miles. It's going to be a long trip, right? You might as well go download the app of British Airways, right, and get a frequent flyer account before the flight is booked. It's a lot more difficult to get the miles to accrue if you already fly and then try to add them to your frequent flyer account. Do it in advance. Take a minute. But download the app. You can track things, track your bags. You know, if there's any delays, stuff like this, you can stay right on top of it. Right now, you know, customer service is more tricky than ever to get someone on the phone. A lot of times you can do stuff right over the app, whether it's a rebooking or just finding gate information, stuff like it's just a good, practical, common sense thing to have. Airports are nightmares. International airports are humongous. You have customs to deal with, everything else. So as organized and as streamlined as you can be, and it's a good idea. And also, you know, to rack up those miles. You're traveling thousands of miles round trip. So, fun story. I went to Bulgaria on Turkish Air a couple of times. For a couple of sniper movies back in the day. You know, I don't know that I ever earned enough or had another reason to fly Turkish Air over the next 2 or 3 years, and I got an email saying that my miles were going to expire. What am I going to do with them, right? They had like a little gift shop. You know, you could use your miles to like go shopping where everything is outrageously priced, but in miles, not dollars. So I ended up getting a like a standard issue K-bar knife, which is the official knife of like the Marine Corps and stuff, with a kind of a fancy ornate wooden handle, like $100 like estimated retail value. So anyway, get some magazine subscriptions, get a bottle of perfume, whatever. It's free for the taking. Me and my K-bar knife are very happy. Thank you, Turkish Air. Look into those frequent flyer miles, people. Number 7 for you actors traveling abroad. This should probably be way higher. This probably should have got bumped to number 2 or 3. International power adapters. You gotta have these. You know, I'm assuming not everyone has a ton of experience traveling abroad, but the deal is the U.S. does things very differently, including their power grids and outlets and the shape of outlets. So these things are invaluable. I have probably 3 that I always travel with. Productions are usually good about making sure their actors have some too. Otherwise, you ain't charging nothing. Laptops, cell phones, whatever. So, you know, this one actually has some built-in USB on the back. So, you know, where we are, Europe, I guess the Europe, you know, it's shapes match the parts with it's, you know, preschool stuff. But you got to have this. A lot of these things have a lot of different features in terms of it'll, you know, make sure you got the cool stuff for the UK, the stuff for Europe that looks different. So, you know, never a bad idea to have some of these. Definitely bring one on your carry-on luggage. Pack a couple more in your suitcase. Trust me, you don't want to be without one of these when you land and they lose your bags or something like that. So they're not very expensive. They're usually anywhere between, you know, 10 for a stripped down model. If you want something fancier that's got a couple of USB plugins, which is a great idea, you can, you know, drop 15, 20 bucks, whatever else. So pretty common practice, vitally important. I'm going to apologize, little feller, because you should be higher on this list. It's really hard to have a good time when you're overseas if you don't got one of these. And the way that we're dependent on digital devices for just about everything now, always a good idea to have several of these. I'll maybe put some links below on Amazon to save you some time and check out a couple for yourself. Tip number 8. This is a big one too. Get some apps for convenience, unit conversion, translators, stuff like this. You know, the U.S. just does things their way. They've got the U.S. dollar. They talk in miles. It's feet and inches and ounces and pounds, gallons. They don't do this around the rest of the world. You know, we just had to be cool and different. Our measurements different. You're not going to find that stuff. You're going to find a lot of kilograms, milliliters, you know, all those things you learned about in school that make perfect sense by going in degrees of 10. We don't do that. We decide to make things a bit more complicated and do it our way. So go on your phone and get some of these apps. They're really, really handy. Something that can help you measure or whatever. If I was just at the gym earlier. I don't know kg. I know American pounds, so I have to have an app that converts what a kilogram is on a dumbbell to the pound equivalent that I'm used to in the United States. Same goes for currency. There's a great app called XE. I'll try to put that link down below as well, but it's just literally called XE Currency Converter. So you can put in any currency from around the world, compare it to the US dollar, enter in amounts, and it'll completely convert everything for you. Just so you know what you're spending, you know what the dollar, where that stands up against the local currency. Right now, I'm using euros. A lot of coinage. There's a lot of coinage. These are the bigger bills, but $1, $2 euro things. So the XE app is very, very handy for being able to figure out what the heck things are actually costing. Are you getting gouged or are you getting a deal? Those things are super handy in the gym as well. What else do we got? Google Translator. This sort of stuff is pretty great. Depending on what country you're going to, so many countries, we're very lucky as Americans, so many countries of primary or secondary language is English. So, it's not so difficult for us, but Google Translator is not that big of a deal. Maybe you can't find a sign in English in the airport and you're in a hurry. Just type it in, punch it in. Super handy. Just be ready just in case you run into, little issues and problems like that. There's other apps, obviously. Maybe you want to go on your weather app on your phone and enter in the city, the country, the destination that you're going to arrive at. Enter that in advance. Get like a 7-day forecast a week out from when you're traveling. Figure out what the weather is. It's going to help you pack. You're going to need to bring the extra jackets, or is it a pants kind of place? Is it a shorts kind of place? Like what's the deal? Sunglasses, 2 pairs of sunglasses, sunscreen, who knows? So that's very, very handy compared to where you live to check out in advance what the weather is. Obviously, I'm sure production and the producers will kind of inform you on that sort of stuff, and Google's at your fingertips, so you can learn a lot about that too. But that will help in your prep and packing. Once you arrive, boots on the ground, if you're in a city or more of an urban area, there's a great map I was turned on to called City Mapper that shows you and gives you the options on how to travel throughout the city, whether there's public transit, metro rails, buses, taxis, Ubers, walking distances, that sort of thing. So that's pretty cool. I was using that in London on the way in here, so I found that pretty valuable. And also, and this will probably apply to another thing I want to talk about later, but to get a VPN, virtual private network, maybe that's some software you want to invest in for your laptop or your phone. I use McAfee. Look, we got a lot of streaming subscriptions we pay for, right? Or just security over Wi-Fi networks is a pretty good deal. So VPNs disguise your location. I'm not saying that's legal or cool or above board. I usually can't get it to work half the time, so I can't take advantage of it. But, VPNs can basically disguise where you are. If you're over again in Mongolia somewhere, Siberia, who knows? You can say you're in Texas. Keep watching that Netflix. Anyway, those are some pretty cool apps to get out ahead of for convenience. They'll help you out a lot once your boot's on the ground. Especially if you're dealing with a different currency, and if you are gonna smash some weights in the Iron Temple, it's gonna save you a lot of time. So apps number 9, pack a change of clothes, and of course a travel adapter in your carry-on. I just had to go through London, a little pit stop in London to appear at the EGX-Con over there for a couple of days before I got out here to film. They lost my bags. That happens, I did not take my own advice. This advice is born from my fail. Did not pack extra clothes, just didn't have a toothbrush there, didn't have anything. So I spent my first night in London, instead of taking in the beautiful city that it is, going to a shopping mall to buy t-shirts, underwear, socks, toothpaste, floss, and a toothbrush, and a comb. it was a nightmare. I had to Uber there 4 miles, Uber back with shopping bags and stuff. So it's like, do yourself a favor. Give yourself a day grace period for those bags, that luggage to show up, and pack some of those basic essentials in your carry-on, especially the travel charger, in case things go horribly awry. So that's just, I think that's good travel advice in general, but when you're taking a huge long flight overseas and you're a foreigner in a foreign land, that's some pretty sage wisdom as well. So yeah, make use of that carry-on. You know it's too big, but you scrunch it up anyway, so they still let you put it in the thing. You know you do it. But anyway, if you're going to do it, put some extra clothes in. Tip number 10, if you're going to be traveling internationally as an actor, save some money. Save money. You know, we live in a streaming world. Netflix allows you to pause a subscription. If you're not going to be able to watch it overseas, if you're gone for a couple weeks or maybe a month, you know, try to just put a pause on it unless you've shared it with 84 people and they depend on it and you, then I guess you can't. But my gym is gracious enough to allow me when I go out of town to just put a little membership hold on my account. You know, they just charge me a much reduced fee for the month to hold my membership. You know, other subscriptions, I don't know. Maybe if you're doing monthly on anything else, they might have a pause or hold menu for when you travel. So look into it. Food delivery services, stuff like this. You know, save yourself a couple bucks. You know, it's kind of a bummer to pay for all these goods and services when you're going to be out of town, not able to take advantage of them. So see what you can temporarily pause, save yourself some money that way, and just reactivate them when you get back home. If you ever come back, maybe you're going to someplace unbelievable and you never leave. That's a good problem. All right, bonus tips. Fine, we're going to come back for the encore. Isn't it always funny that bands just leave for like 3 minutes? What do they do? Maybe it's a bathroom break. Maybe they just go get some more water or another beer. And then they come back and do 3 to 5 songs everywhere, almost every time. Anyway, that's this. This is an extra 5 tips for actors traveling internationally and abroad. Things to plan for, prepare for, be aware of. So I'll try and rapid fire these a little bit. I wrote down, you know, back up your PC, your laptop, your iMac, whatever. Back that up. Back it up before you leave. If you're going to be gone for a week, 2 weeks, this is a good advice in general. You know, we all live digitally now. So back up your PC, put it on an external hard drive. Look at the note I wrote to myself. Real footage and master. It's a master backup. Master Blaster. I also back things up on Dropbox and OneNote. So, you know, can't have enough backups. Then I just take this bad boy with me. And it's got all my stuff on there in case I should ever need it. Things I discussed above and some more that I'll discuss in a second. But, you know, back things up back home. It's great to have your reels, your headshots, all that sort of stuff, anything that's pertaining to your acting career while you're gone. You never know when a rep might need it and you don't have it hosted online somewhere. So it's always good to have that sort of stuff and you know, protect your information while you're gone. God forbid something happens to your place or your computer while you're gone. So, you know, have the peace of mind. Bring a little backup with you. Next, I've got, I don't know, email autoresponders. You know, if you're 10 hours ahead, people are trying to get a hold of you and they feel like you're blowing them off for 8 hours. It's like, well, no, I was sleeping, jerk. So yeah, maybe that's something you want to do. Obviously, I'm assuming that you're all very capable, responsible actors and you know enough to email all of your representatives and let them know. Chances are, you know, your agent or manager or someone has lined this international project up for you. But in the event that they didn't, you know, did the voiceover people that you work with know? Does the commercial agent and agency that you work with know? Your appearances people? Whatever applies to you, do them always the courtesy of sending out the book out dates with as much advance notice as you can. So much on their end has to do with timing of submissions, timing of auditions, whatever else. So more notice, the better. That's tip number 12. Number 13. Man, a tip earlier was about saving money. This is about spending money. Tip number 13, set up your auto pays, get your rent checks set out in advance. all these sort of things that you can just easily forget about, and then you're scrambling to ask someone a favor. You're calling and emailing the landlord, be like, hey, my rent's going to be 10 days late because I'm overseas and I, forgot to cut it to you in advance. Well, they might be like, sorry, here's a 3% charge for a late fee. Avoid that stuff. Put the extra rent check in with the current one and just leave a note. Gonna be out of town for a while. Please don't cash until. Bam, take care of it. Auto pay, your bills. I mean, I think a lot of people just do this anyway, the auto debit stuff. I do. It just saves so much time and energy. But set that sort of stuff up. Credit cards, utilities, bills, that sort of stuff. Hopefully you have some kind of a person that you can trust, whether it's a neighbor, a loved one, friends, family, you can leave a spare key with, check on the place for you. Do the same with the vehicle, just in case your vehicle's got to be moved or this or that or whatever else. Leave a vehicle key with somebody trusted as well. You never know when that might come in handy and someone doesn't have to break into your apartment to find vehicle keys and whatever. So that's 13. 14 is, and this is a no-brainer, self-tape equipment. Got to bring your little tripod if you got little lights. Stuff like this. You never know when a self-tape's going to come through. That's the world we live in now. They can come through at any point, anytime, as you know. Self-tapes don't care about your time zone. Self-tapes be self-tapes. So, bring your equipment. Obviously, I think that most actors at this point know to do that. And, so that's, I don't know. I just feel like I should throw that in there because with everything else you're going to be prepping and planning for and trying to pack, like that might just be something that you forget about. So bring your self-tape equipment. Lastly, not least, do your research. Get a Google search going about the place where you're going. There's lots of blogs, travel guides online if you don't want to plunk down on a book, but there's wonderful books that you can always buy usually in a place that you're going. I've gotten them in the past. You learn so much. It's really incredible to be able to learn about the sites, the sites, the cultures, the languages, the currency. If you're interested in kind of the history of the place, some of the language. People are, having specific diets. Maybe you want to know what the standard cuisine is over there. Some countries eat horses, but they call it something else. We don't do that in America. So you might want to know that in advance and avoid all occurrences of having horse brought out to you at a restaurant. These are the things you could discover, you could learn. Always great to teach yourself, please, thank you, hello, goodbye. You can layer on with good morning and other such things. These are helpful. They always go over well when you travel internationally, whether you're talking to people in the crew, other actors who are local, or just people about town. Shopkeeps and bartenders and, Uber and taxi drivers, stuff like that. So a great idea to just poke around Google. I found out a lot about the place I'm staying in here. I got way out ahead of a lot of things just by doing, 15, 20 minutes on some travel blogs. I'm also a map nerd, so a lot of these guides have unbelievable maps and pictures and stuff like that. So I got that cartography in my blood, so I like to see the shape. I like to know where I am in the world. I like to know where north is. All this Boy Scout stuff rushing back. So anyway, those are the 5 bonus tips. That's 15 tips. If you like this, actors, I hope it serves you well. A lot of these mistakes I made in a lot of the first trips that I took, but now I'm kind of a wily veteran on my second passport with all this sort of stuff. I've kind of got a dialed in process. These things really help keep it smooth. And so if you found this useful, again, congrats on your travel abroad. Such an amazing perk of the job. Like this video, comment on the video, any other questions, throw them down below. Share if you feel so inspired. If you know other actors who might be gearing up to head overseas, even if it's Canada, a lot of the same stuff applies. So, let me know what you thought, and stay tuned for more acting career and business tips from this guy.